Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the grey. Today we've got a special video, and we today are going to talk about something organised by the Neo community in Age of Sigmar, Neo standing for Narrative Event Organizer, and that is the Animosity Campaign. So what is the Animosity Campaign is what we're going to be talking about today, and sort of how do you participate and some frequently asked questions and what you can do. And we'll be doing more coverage on this over the coming weeks because this is something really cool, and during this time where there's not much else to do and where some of us still in the world are still locked up and can't get out and play games or really be a part of the community properly, other than obviously the online way that we are doing, which is fantastic, but this could really be something that could help build the community that little bit more and keep those bonds of friendship and those community sort of strengths alive and really healthy during this sort of downtime that we have at the moment. But like I said, we're going to get straight into this, and we're going to talk about what is the Animosity Campaign. You can see in the header, wherever that is, that I've got, it's a cooperative narrative event that's global, and so we'll go from there. So I'm on the animositycampaigns.com website. You can go find this yourself, and it has a ton of information there and lots more than what I'm going to go into, stuff about previous Animosity campaigns, etc. But you can all just go have a squiz, and I definitely recommend going and having a look. So we're going to start with what is Animosity campaigns. So we all know what Warhammer campaigns are. I don't think we really need to go into that. If you're needing to know what a Warhammer campaign is, then maybe I'll do a whole different video on what a campaign is. But for almost a decade, Animosity campaigns brought cooperative storytelling and intense map-based strategy on a grand scale to Warhammer players around the world. Today, Team Animosity is working to reinvent this incredible experience for Age of Sigmar and a new generation of players. So this has been something that's happened for a little while now. And we're now looking to sort of make this something different and something a bit more special this year. So really cool. You declare your loyalty. So when the campaign begins, players pledge their army's allegiance to a non-player character we call a figurehead and fight for a coalition rallying behind them. So figureheads are generally like these major characters that sort of move the plot and the story forward in the campaign. And we'll get into more on what you can do to help that later in a sec, but there's a ton of these, and we might go into them in a different video talking about all the different ones that you can have, and all the different stories there. But you help shape that story. So each turn, players will be able to submit results. Reports are the result of a game you've played, a short story you've written, or even a hobby project you completed. See, the cool thing about this is, like, it's understanding that we all can't get together and play games. Some of us might be able to play games and submit some games. You know, you might be lucky to live with a housemate that plays Warhammer, or your partner does, or you're in a country that has restrictions down to a part where you can actually go about playing games. But if you're still in a place that's locked down around the world, you can write up a short story about your characters, or even build some hobby and do some hobby and report that as your report. You may then allocate it to a narrative path of choice after each turn is over, when those reports in our game engine, and before the start of the next turn, we will post an unfolding narrative update depicting your actions and their impact in the stories as seen through the eyes of your NPC figureheads. So you might remember this is pretty similar to the Malign Portents campaign that I did, where everyone sort of picked this next, they put points towards certain objectives and goals and omens and stuff like that, and it told the next part of the story, and then you would play games for another week and you'd tell the next part of the story, etc. But obviously, due to the unique nature of the global collaborative storytelling event and the current situation regarding social distancing, you don't need to physically play games against other people to participate. In fact, you don't need to play any games of Age of Sigmar at all. There are many ways to get involved. So long as you're sharing your short stories and hobby projects, you still have an invaluable cog in our collaborative narrative war machine. So once again, yeah, it's realizing that there's issues with what's going on in the world, and we can't all get together and play games. So it's put all these other ways to sort of help us go and play, which is really cool. and then you decide the outcome. So ultimately, what sets Animosity apart from the most open-ended nature of our player experience, Team Animosity has no intention of railroading you. We may set the stage, but your characters are the actors, and it is your story to tell. Furthermore, each campaign is linked to its predecessors, creating an ongoing fan-written continuity. No matter your level of participation, your contributions will influence Animosity campaigns for years to come. So that's really it. It's everyone is shaping and helping, no matter how little a part you can do. And so this should just be something fun to maybe do in the downtime. And I really strongly recommend anyone to give a go at taking part in this. So whether or not it's just painting models, and the models you're already painting in like a lockdown situation, and reporting them as your progress, and then going, cool, I like this guy's story the best, I want him to win with my army, and maybe, even creating some narrative for your army. I think this would be a really cool way for everyone to sort of do something that they might not, and have some hobby input with the larger community that they might not otherwise get in this current situation. So we're now going to go into how to participate. So the Warpath beginning July 4th, this 2-week prelude event provides players with an opportunity to become familiar with our narrative and mechanics, as well as begin preparing any hobby projects they may wish to submit as reports during the campaign. Players are invited to send us their narrative, join our Discord, and share their armies on social media with hashtag the Warpath and hashtag Animosity II hashtags. So this has already started the Warpath, and this is sort of the part where they're releasing information on all the storyline and where the narrative's going, or at least the basis of the narrative. So you can go have a look at this. You can find Animosity campaigns on YouTube, and they've got a really cool video up. And so Animosity 2 begins July 22nd. The Burning Winter will run for 5 weeks from start to finish, with each week corresponding to a campaign turn. Before the start of each turn, Team Animosity will update the unfolding narrative, weaving the results of your battle reports into a single ongoing story arc. This can include the daring feats of your generals, bloody battle sequences, and dramatic exchanges between characters. So it's a really cool sort of idea. Like, they'll play out the story, then they'll update the narrative and how like campaigns have gone, and then we'll go another week. So it'll be 5 weeks of doing this, which will be a ton of fun. So the most important thing, I guess, for anyone is, how do I participate? So using the submit report page, players may choose to submit one report of each type per turn. So one report of each type. So you can, a gaming one, obviously that is conventional, remote, or single player games of Age of Sigmar, Warcry, and Soulbound. Any format is welcome, including skirmish and Path to Glory. Please play with others safely and responsibly during the pandemic, of course. Hobby, painting, modelling, scenery, conversions, and scratch building is encouraged. If submitting a work in progress, please provide before and after photos. Writing, short stories between 500 and 2,000 words. We ask that individual submissions stay below 3,000 words. Storytelling, photos of staged battlefields and character duels, dioramas, video battle reports, recorded spoken word, etc. Arts and crafts, sketches, illustrations, cosplay, etc. Let your imagination run wild. So this is really open for absolutely anything you could think of to push the narrative of Age of Sigmar. And so you can watch this space for Soulbound Game Master and single-player Warcry resources coming soon, which is really cool. So how do I engage with the unfolding narrative? In Animosity 2, your army will join a coalition fighting to advance the agenda of a non-player character we call a figurehead. In return for your fealty, the dramatis personae has promised you something: glory, riches, lands, etc. Some reason why you're fighting for that figurehead. At the beginning of each turn, coalitions will be faced with a number of story options we call narrative paths. Each narrative path is opposed by an enemy coalition, meaning you'll always be in a tug-of-war with other actual players, whether you're playing games or not, which is really cool. You could be opposed to someone on the other side of the world, and this is what I think is really cool about this, in that it can create like groups of players trying to do stuff. So I'm really going to push for, I hope everyone at my little Sinful gaming community, we can all get on the same side and push for a cool narrative together. So Team Animosity writes each turn's unfolding narrative based entirely on player contribution, and we've been through all that. It's effectively your story. So what do I get for participating? Although we're still exploring options for prize support, Team Animosity will recognise the following achievements at the end of the campaign. And so at the very least, you're going to get your name down and something memorable if you manage to be on one of these. So, Lord of War, the player who submitted the most reports. True Friend and Ally, the player who did the most to support a single faction figurehead coalition. Peerless General, the player considered most valuable by peer nominations. Youngblood, the player who did the most as a first-time participant. Neo of Note, the player who did the most community rabble-rousing, which is awesome. I'm going to win that one, I hope. Master and Commander, favourite gaming reports. Master Builder, favourite hobby reports. Master Painter, favourite hobby reports. Craftsman, and then you've got all your favourite sort of report ones here. Then we've got the Sir Cal Leonis Award, the player with the most daring and ambitious narrative. Wow, words are really hard tonight. It's late at night. The Talon de Femburin Award, the player with the most creative problem solving in the narrative, and the Umbrock Stonebeard Award, the player who suffered the worst setbacks but kept on going anyway. So this is really cool. Like, there's a bunch of different awards that you can win, and at the very least, this is an award. It means very little, but it's something to have your name remembered by. And even the thing this can do is really give you a cool narrative to push forward with your army, and I just can't recommend enough to get on board with this. I'll be doing so much on the channel to support this, because this is a fantastic thing that I think at a time like we are, it just can be so much fun. And so the last one I want to go through is frequently asked questions. So I won't go through all the figureheads and stuff today, but we're going to go looking at the frequently asked questions, just so everyone here gets any questions answered, and you can go look back at these if you need. So, is Animosity free to play? Yes, absolutely. Are Animosity campaigns canon? Oh, absolutely not. This is completely fan-made. Do I need to sign up ahead of time, or can I just start submitting reports when things get started? No, registration is necessary this time around. That said, you'll be asked to provide an email address when submitting reports. This will help us prevent report stacking. This info will be deleted immediately after the campaign concludes. Question: can I make more than one report each campaign turn? Each player can only submit one report of each type each turn. However, different types of reports can be submitted for different coalitions in different campaign turns. So, what this means is you can do one of everything and support the same coalition. Or if you say have your Skaven army and you paint that up, you can have that support its coalition that you've chosen to be a part of there. But your Stormcast army, say you've played games with your Stormcast army, can support a different coalition, because that's a play report and one of them is a build paint modeling report. You can do them in separate, so you can spread out your hobby amongst different coalitions, or you can singularly focus on a single coalition. Does my army have to belong to the suggested faction lists under each coalition? Team Animosity wants to accommodate maximum creativity, so players are allowed to play for factions other than those suggested in the coalition. So you don't have to abide by that, but we aren't saying Skaven wouldn't fight on behalf of a primarily order coalition, but we'd like to see a clever narrative explanation as to why they are, aiding order that they otherwise wouldn't. So how do I win an Animosity campaign? Each figurehead in the coalition will be attempting to accomplish a general goal. The more successful you are at accomplishing the goal, the better you will do in the campaign. There are a number of achievement categories that you may distinguish yourself, which you can find here, and we've just been through all of those. So there's no, there'll be an unfolding narrative, and narrative, as always, is subjective to whether you win or not. You can look back at Wrath of the Everchosen, where Catacross got his butt handed to him by Archaon in the end. Spoiler alert, sorry. It's been out for a while now, so too bad if you didn't know that. But the idea is that, Catacross just comes back and now he knows something about Archaon he didn't before. And so when I submit a hobby report, does it get scored for its quality, and does that help me score more points for my coalition? Hobby quality is indeed scored and ranked, and that will count towards the final hobby achievement awards. It will not, however, count for your coalition score in that unfolding narrative. Only your choice of narrative path counts for that turn. So your hobby counts regardless of hobby. It doesn't matter how good a painter or a modeler you are. It'll help with the narrative path regardless. Obviously, if you're going for hobby awards, like the actual honours and awards in the hobby field, you will be judged accordingly on that to win the actual award. But to submit results, you won't be judged because you're a new painter for submitting paint results. They'll still do the same thing as the most golden demon high-end quality painter winning will in the case of narrative path points. Do I need to have read all the Age of Sigmar lore and background, etc.? No. Quite simply, this is completely isolated. Like, you could not know anything about Age of Sigmar lore and just come here and play this campaign. So when you say a home game, does that mean actual physical games against an opponent? Shouldn't I be social distancing? The Animosity team recommends keeping with house games between members of your household or play remotely via webcam. Alternatively, games can be played via online platforms as well, like Tabletop Simulator. Of course, this is all subjective. It's probably worth mentioning that a lot of the guys from Animosity are from America, so obviously social distancing in their particular parts is very different. And like for people like me, I can play games at home. I'm in Adelaide, South Australia, and we've got like no restrictions anymore, pretty much, except like 2 square meters. So I'm allowed to have people around my house playing games, which is cool. It's always worth with this just remembering your own restrictions, your own safety measures that you need to abide by wherever you are in the world. Stay safe. Don't do anything that would compromise your health or anyone around you's health. Can I use unique named heroes for Age of Sigmar Animosity? So yes and no. Animosity is very much about your dudes and their story. Although players are welcome to incorporate minor unique heroes in their armies, you may never use them as your general player character. Furthermore, the following characters are banned from the inclusion in the campaign. So the whole idea of this is to create your characters. So don't use named characters. It's effectively the idea. So if you submit reports using any of these characters, it won't count. You can do it and you can play, they just won't count for results. But if you still want to paint that model up during this, by all means do it. But obviously those characters include a bunch of different named characters. So all there. Hold up, Manfred von Carstein isn't listed alongside the other Mortarks. What gives? Unlike the others, Manfred has a canon history of being depicted as a lone agent. Those of you who participated in Animosity 1 may recall Manfred had a very small cameo, so it's entirely possible he may be lurking in the shadows. He is the Mortark of Night after all. So it's not got every character here. Some of these characters, like it also doesn't mention that Ragnar the Grim Hailer here at all either, because Ragnar is actually a character they're using in the narrative. So when I submit a narrative writing report, how far can I go with my creativity? Can I destroy Lake Byakull or with Sigmar's great bolts? Can I kill off one of the figureheads of my own narrative? You can certainly try it, and the Animosity team attempts to incorporate everyone's contribution to the story, but we certainly want to encourage players to maintain a certain amount of coherency to their stories. So this is like something with your stories. Like submit them, make your characters cool, but don't go too far. Like, try to remember that this is everyone playing together and you're trying to be respectful to other people's narrative along with your own. These figureheads are supposed to lead the narrative and be like this behind the scenes sort of thing. So probably don't try to kill them off, and you'll probably just get told no unless it's like a really cool thing you managed to do. Even though each type of report can only be submitted once, can we still participate or submit extra things from the same category to further push multiple narratives without getting any type of campaign credit? Certainly. So if you want to paint your Skaven army and want to paint your Stormcast army and submit everything on both of them, by all means do and push the narrative forward with both. But to keep the game balanced and prevent report stacking, we've imposed the restriction on how many times you can push the narrative paths. So you can only push the narrative paths once of each type. However, you can certainly submit both Skaven and Stormcast and tell your story. You just won't get the narrative points for doing so for both. If that makes sense. But that's it from all of this, from the frequently asked questions, and I think that's all we're going to go through today. We'll probably come back and go on the figureheads, but this is just something really cool. I think everyone should at least give a thought of taking part in. I will definitely be taking part in doing some serious hobby work over the next few weeks with this. And yeah, I look forward to hopefully everyone else participating and making this something really cool. If you have any other questions, you can contact me and I can reach out to the other Neos, or you can use those hashtags as mentioned before. Hashtag, where are we? We've got the hashtags somewhere in here. I forgot them already. Hashtag Double Warpath and hashtag Animosity 2. If you use those hashtags, you might be able to find someone who can help you. You've also got the tweets from the Neo team over here. You'll notice some like big names here, like Doug from 2 Plus Tough, Animosity Campaigns, Age of Sigmar, Lawbot, and just a whole bunch of stuff here. At Animosity CMPGNS is a Twitter handle that you can go follow as well. But without talking about it anymore, definitely go try and take part. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on, like, are you going to take part in Animosity campaigns? Have I maybe convinced you to at least give it a look and a thought? This is something really cool. I'll be taking part in it. I'll be running some stuff on the channel and through the Discords and stuff like that. But let me know what you all think. I'd love to hear from you all and hopefully take part in this with you all. Ciao for now. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video and thank you all very much for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the Sinful Gaming channel on YouTube. Every subscription helps us grow more and more, and we're thankful for everyone who does subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to go down in the links down below and follow our Twitch channel, of which we do streaming of both model building, painting, and our role-playing games. And also, don't forget to jump on our Discord server, also linked down below. We can come chat with me and other members of Sinful Gaming and our community, which is utterly fantastic and filled with such wonderful people. And you should find that link down in the description down below as well. And lastly, if you wish to support the channel more like these lovely people on screen have, you can join our Patreon and help support the channel. We'd like to shout out a special thanks to everyone who supports our channel on Patreon. You guys are absolutely fantastic. So a special mention to all the Sinful Guard Militia members, Christian Weir, Soren, Philip Ward, and Chaos Spawn, and our Sinful Free Guild Regiment member James. You guys are all amazing. Thank you all for supporting the channel so well. And if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't get as much enjoyment out of this as I does. And that goes for everyone. Whether you like a video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on Twitter, or simply watch some videos and don't do anything more than that. You guys are all amazing. Thank you very much. And we'll see you all again real soon. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the grey.